If you're into Canadian gold and Mexican silver, then this one has a little something extra for you. And if you're also into the gold and silver equities market, well, there's even more for you yet. You just have to be fast enough. This past Thursday, I had a chance to talk to Keith Neumeyer, and Keith is the CEO and founder of First Majestic Silver. I imagine a lot of you know that. He's very well known, he's very successful, he's pretty vocal about his thoughts on the price outlook for metals, including triple-digit silver. But even though he runs one of the largest silver mining companies in the world, employing 6,000 people, we aren't talking about silver, at least not much. We talked instead about gold and how 2021 is different than 2013. We talked a little bit about the paper market and physical supply. We even talked about what he's buying personally. He bought the dip on Thursday, by the way. He'll tell you what he bought a little later in the conversation. Prior to First Majestic, Keith launched First Quantum, and more recently he founded First Mining Gold. So he has specific insight on gold, on silver, and on copper. And I don't know that you could find anyone with more insight on the market. He's aware of his biases, so this was a great conversation. And there's a sponsored component to this video, and that part of it is actually time sensitive. Keith's new company, First Mining Gold, has a deal coming up where shareholders will be getting a stock dividend if they hold a position prior to July 10th. So it's coming up right around the corner. So if you have an interest in mining stocks, it's worth your time to look into First Mining Gold, both for its own merits as well as for the added benefit of the Treasury Metals dividend. That will effectively discount your purchase. Before we get into that, though, Keith gives a lot of really great insight just on metals in general, and he even explains his basis for triple-digit silver. That's something, of course, that I asked him about. So we'll just jump in. Again, this is Keith Neumeyer, who is the CEO and founder of First Majestic Silver and also the chairman and founder of First Mining Gold. Thanks for joining us, Keith.
Great, Ian. It's great talking to you as well today.
Okay, so let's start off with the performance of gold. It's been doing really well for about 2 years now, and we saw all-time highs in August. Where do you see it going from here?
Well, that's $1 million question, right? And I've got my particular views on gold, and I look at gold as the granddaddy of all currencies, and governments around the world, I think, have the same opinion, and many governments are accumulating gold as many investors have been accumulating gold, and I've got at least a minimum $3,000 target on gold, and it could actually go much higher than that. There's people out there like Jim Rickards and several others who have much higher price targets than that.
You've been around for quite a while. I think, is it 30 years in the mining industry?
Yeah, I go over 35 years now.
Okay, so I imagine 2014 to say 2018, they stand out in your mind a little bit. I wonder if you could tell us how this is different, how 2021 is different than 2013, for example.
The whole move, if you go back, you'd have to actually go back to 2000, 2001 to really understand what's happening today. We had, the high tech, boom, in the late 90s, and the Nasdaq topped out at 5,000, which seems like a small number today, but in March of 2000, and then over the next 2 to 3 years, the Nasdaq corrected by 80%, which went below 1,000. Which would, if people go back and look at the chart, it's quite shocking. But that was really the beginning of the bull market in commodities. And it was, I was, when I was doing interviews back then, when I was putting First Majestic Silver together, for example, I was getting interviewed, and I was calling that a generational shift or a generational change in the commodity sector, where there was this just boom that went into the entire sector, where people just got fed up owning story stocks and fuel cell companies and the latest internet stock, and they started to invest in real assets like real estate, like gold, and silver, of course, and copper, and copper went from 60 cents all the way up to $4 over that cycle, and gold went from $250 all the way up to almost 1,800 or 1,900, and silver went from $5 to $50 over that period of time, and that was a 10-year bull market. And of course, all bull markets do come to an end, as we're going to experience, with the current equity markets at bubblicious highs. And I think the market is sensing that we're going to have kind of a repeat of that whole 2000, 2001 to 2003 kind of cycle where a bunch of money is going to start coming into the commodity sector. And now we've added one additional problem. We're not only going to have a demand shock, we're actually having a supply shock because the system is broken. As well as many of the people listening today is the supply channels. You try to go and do a renovation of a home, or you go try to buy anything today, you can't get anything anymore. And so you've got a huge pickup in demand, and you've got a big drop in supply, which is causing this phenomenon that is quite different than the phenomenon that we experienced in the early 2000s.
Okay, I see where you're coming from there. You're comparing today more to 2001, meaning that the equity market is the target for the correction rather than the metals. And point taken on the commodities market and supply. A lot of people are talking about a commodities super cycle. Some are even saying the same about metals because of supply and demand. So what do you think will have the biggest impact on the price of metals over the next few years?
It's demand for sure. You've got, of course, investment demand. There's retail investment, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, in both gold and silver, which is actually much higher than it used to be. You go back, into to 2014, 2015, 2016. The retail buyer in the physical metals market was basically non-existent. Today, off our website, First Majestic's website, pardon me, we're selling quite a lot of retail products in the form of silver, actually at historic highs. But that's an added demand which wasn't there before. But also the industrial demand is quite interesting because, as I said earlier, I know we're talking about silver and we're supposed to be talking about gold, but I wear both hats. But in the silver space, you've got new players that have come into the industry or the business that are big buyers. And electric cars, are relatively new industry. Solar panels are also relatively new. Then you've got all the electronics, the cell phones, the 5G networks. You name it. The demand for metals right across the board is reaching levels that the mining sector just can't meet.
So earlier I talked about that kind of 2014 to 2018 range, and that would have been about when you founded First Mining Gold, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's shift gears and let's talk specifically about First Mining Gold. What can you tell us about the trajectory you're on?
Yeah. Well, look, I've invested in dozens and dozens of companies throughout the last 35 years throughout my career, but I founded three companies. So First Quantum Minerals, a copper company, I founded in '92. First Majestic Silver, I founded in 2002, and First Mining Gold, I founded I put it together in 2014. It went public in April of 2015. The similarity between each of these three companies is that I was, my timing was pretty good. I ended up putting these companies together at the bottom of the cycle, I was able to acquire assets at relatively good prices, or I would say extremely good prices, and I was able to put together the management teams to build these businesses into legitimate profitable ventures. Both First Quantum and First Majestic are at the top of their industries in both copper and then silver. I'm not involved in First Quantum anymore, haven't been for many years, but First Majestic, I'm still the CEO of. First Mining Gold, I'm the chairman of, and very active in the decision making that goes on within the company. We've got a great team there, and what I was able to do was put together a portfolio of gold projects in what is probably the safest jurisdiction in the world, which is Ontario and Quebec in Canada, and building a portfolio of over 11 million ounces of gold, spread over a handful of projects, And the management team, based on our business plan, I was able to joint venture many of these projects and get partners, business partners, to come in and finance these projects, and hopefully, eventually, turn these projects into producing assets, of which, First Mining Gold will have sizable positions, in these variety of companies. And it's been pretty exciting. The company is extremely well financed. The stock is dirt cheap, mind you, but the company is well financed, and it's got a very good endowment of gold assets.
Yeah, I know it's always impossible for a founder or a CEO to talk about where they think their company is going, especially when we're talking about investing. But you're pretty early in terms of the financial situation goes. There's a reason we're talking today, though. And you have a time-sensitive deal happening at the end of the month with a special gold dividend for shareholders. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, as I was kind of touching on, is we've done several deals on a variety of different projects. I would suggest people go to First Mining Gold's website and look at our PowerPoint presentation, because we do own some significant positions in a variety of companies that we've vended or joint ventured these projects with. And the one you're referring to is a company called Treasury Metals, and this is a company that we've been following for quite some time, and they own the neighboring property called Goliath to the project that we bought back in 2015 called Goldland. And these two properties, really should have been in the same company right from the beginning, but we were opportune, and I was opportune, I guess you can say, and by buying Goldland at the time. Back then, Treasury probably couldn't have raised this significant amount of money to actually buy Goldland. And anyways, over the years, as the years went by, we decided to merge Goldland, which was First Mining Gold's asset, into Goliath, which was Treasury Metals' asset, into the single company, Treasury Metals. So First Mining Gold received a significant amount of shares in Treasury Metals. And as we promised, when I first put First Mining Gold together, that we were going to, if this type of event occurred, that we would dividend out, or potentially dividend out, any kind of shares or what have you, if we saw fit to do it. So in this particular case, it's quite exciting because we're dividending out, over 20 million shares of Treasury Metals to First Mining Gold shareholders, and it's going to vote in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure it'll be approved, of course. And so for everyone that owns First Mining Gold, they're going to get a free share of Treasury Metals. So it's pretty interesting.
So beyond that dividend opportunity, which is a big deal, how strong is the company's financial situation with everything you have going? I know with the Springpole project, there's a lot just in the one project, and you've got several others. Can you tell us a little bit about market cap?
Sure, yeah. First Mining Gold is in very good financial situation. It's got positions in a variety of publicly traded companies. And then again, I don't want to just list off all the positions that First Mining Gold has, but the equity values on the balance sheet are somewhere around $100 million, and the cash in the bank is in the $40 million range. So there's a lot of equity within the company, and the market cap is just around 200 million. So just in value, cash value alone, it's not quite close, obviously, to the market cap. But then you add Springpole on top of that, which is basically a 5 million ounce gold asset in Northern Ontario, which is in the permitting stage. And grant you, the permitting stage is always the most boring stage of any mining company, and shareholders often kind of roll their eyes and they don't have the patience to wait it out. But the process is going well. It's on track, and we think that Springpole is going to be one of the largest gold producers in Canada. It's in, at least in the top 5 assets worldwide, and it's got tons of exploration upside. We're actually going to be spending some money this summer on exploration. That 5 million ounces could grow Obviously, I'm not going to throw numbers out on an interview like this, but we're optimistic that that 5 million ounces is really just the start.
Beyond the what might come out of the ground, is there anything else we should know about First Mining Gold specifically?
Well, the Treasury Metal dividend is a big deal. All shareholders of First Mining Gold are going to get a percentage, and there's a calculator on the website. So if you own 1,000 shares of First Mining Gold, for example, you can type in that number on the calculator and see how many shares of Treasury Metals you'll get for every share of First Mining Gold. So it really makes First Mining Gold pretty interesting investment, because you're basically buying stock today at a discount, because of the value that you'd be receiving from the Treasury Metals a share that you'll be getting in your account, and it'll be automatically deposited by your brokerage firm. As an investor in gold mining stocks for the last 3 decades, one of the key areas of concern is always jurisdiction. And when I put First Mining Gold together, jurisdiction was a key concern of ours, and that's why we very much focused on Ontario and Quebec. As I did when I put First Majestic Silver together. We focused in Mexico because of Mexico being so dominant in the silver industry. Ontario and Quebec are similar in the gold sector, where you've got a lot of very substantial companies active in those environments. You've got governments that are very supportive of the mining sector. So these are not in politically risky jurisdictions, and for my money, I quite honestly, I think it's one of the best places to be.
Like I mentioned earlier, I've said this a few times, I just can't not ask you about silver. I mean, so we've got First Majestic Silver. Clearly, we're talking about silver mining. With First Quantum, it was copper. And each of your companies, I know you have more than just that one metal, but now with First Mining Gold, clearly we're talking about gold. I wonder which of the metals you think has the most potential.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question, and I'm a bull on all metals, quite frankly. I actually bought some platinum today, surprisingly. I had some, today, as your listeners are probably watching the market today, and the market's had 2 pretty ugly days, where gold is down, over $100 over a very short period of time, and silver's down a couple of bucks as well. And, all the commodities seem to be under a lot of pressure. And I've had several, bids, lowball bids in a variety of stocks that, I follow. And I probably, had, 5 of, my orders filled today. So, it's great to see. But I wouldn't be doing that if I didn't feel that this cycle is just at the beginning of a major bull market. And it's always hard to say, well, are you in the second inning or the third inning or the whatever. I think we're probably year 2 or year 3 in a 10-year bull market. And bull markets, gyrate. They don't go straight up. And look at the S&P. Look at the Nasdaq. Look at any market you wish to look at. Nothing goes straight up. And then there's many experts along the way that says, oh yeah, we're going to peak out. And how many people thought the S&P was going to peak out at 4,000? And that was going to be the top. And now today, of course, it's much higher than that. So. I'm looking at $8 to $10 copper, which is a double from here. I'm looking at, triple-digit silver, and I'm on the record, for years saying that. I called for $50 silver when I put First Majestic together back in 2002, 2003, and it happened. And then I came up with the phrase triple-digit silver, and now I've got a couple other people that are now believing that that could actually happen. And that's, from today's price, that's the 400% move from current levels. We'll see if I'm right. On gold, I think that it's got 3,000 or a target in my view, which is not quite a double from here. But so if you look at a pure percentage basis of those 3 metals, I think silver will outperform the group.
Just out of curiosity, do you come up with that number for silver because it's based on where you think gold will be, and then you look at a gold to silver ratio, or is it something else entirely?
The ratio is a big thing to me. If I was to look, it's a little bit crazy, but at $3,000 gold, if if silver actually traded at the mining ratio, that would put some, I'd have to do the math, but the mining ratio is 8-1. So 3,000, divided by 8, you're at somewhere around $320 or whatever you are in silver. I'm not suggesting we're going to see $300 silver, but if I am a big believer in ratios. So the mining ratio is shockingly low, and people really don't understand the rarity of silver. And gold's rare. Like, don't get me wrong. Gold's not easy to find. It's not easy to mine. It's expensive to mine, and gold is necessary in the financial industry and used by central banks and actually used in electronics and lots of other things as well. But silver is a bit of a different animal, and when you're trading at something in the order of 70-1 in the financial markets, and you're in the mining sector is only mining 8-1, where everyone else of gold, 8 ounces of silver, I think there has to be ratio collapse. Now, does it go to 20? In April 2011, when silver hit $50, the ratio dropped to 32. So even if we go from 70 to 30, that's a double, in silver price. I think it's going to go lower than 30-1, but obviously time will tell.
Sure. Okay, so back to First Mining Gold. If a person wants to learn more about it, what do they do next?
Well, go to the website, firstmininggold.com. I'm the chairman, founder. Dan Wilton's the CEO. He's always available. There's a great team of people there. I would suggest go to the website, look at the PowerPoint, educate yourself, and read the news releases, see what the company's been up to for the last year, because some of the achievements that they've made, some of the deals they've done have just been quite interesting. And I think the stock has just not really got the love and that it deserves. And I think probably the reason why is because it's in the development stage, and investors tend to like companies that are drilling like crazy, pulling exciting holes out of the ground, and that's not First Mining right now. Or a company that's producing gold, and that's not First Mining right now. They're in the middle of those two things. They've done the drilling, they've done all the discovery, they've got all the gold already developed. All they now need to do is permit it and get a mill built and get into production. And that's takes a few years, and it tends to be a bit of a boring period, and the stocks often in this phase get kind of stuck. And that's where First Mining Gold is right now. I would suggest people have a serious look at it, and if you do become an investor in First Mining Gold, or if you're currently an investor already, you're going to get some Treasury Metals stock as well in your account, which is just a bonus.
Okay, Keith. Well, good luck, and thank you so much for talking today. I'm glad we had a chance to connect.
Well, great, and nice chatting with you as well.
Okay, so there was a lot in that one. I'm going to have to go back and watch the part about the cycles, 2021 versus 2001 rather than 2013. Let us know what you think in the comments, and if you're interested in First Mining Gold and the deal that's coming up, you can find more information on firstmininggold.com. There's a lot of great information on the website. And if you stuck with us this far, thanks again for watching. Always appreciate your time. Take care.